This was an unacceptable mistake and a clear deviation from our exacting standards. We hold ourselves accountable to the American people and want to ensure proper corrective action has been taken. As you know, when the incident occurred, we immediately established that there was never an unsafe condition and reported it to our national leadership, including the Secretary of Defense as well as the President. At the same time, we promised the American public we would conduct a thorough investigation and present the findings of the investigation to our leadership, to our elected leaders, and to you, the public.
The countless times our dedicated airmen have transferred weapons in our nation's arsenal, nothing like this has ever occurred. This was a failure to follow procedures which have proven to be sound. It involved a limited number of airmen at 2 bases. Our extensive 6-week investigation found that this was an isolated incident and that the weapons never left the custody of airmen. Were never unsecured, but clearly this incident is unacceptable to the people of the United States and to the United States Air Force. We owe the nation nothing less than adherence to the highest standards. In addition, our investigation found that there has been an erosion of adherence to weapons handling standards at Minot Air Force Base and at Barksdale Air Force Base. We have acted quickly and decisively to rectify this.
You're not supposed to fly nuclear weapons. There's a bilateral agreement with Russia. You don't fly nuclear weapons, neither side. There's also Air Force regulations. They say you don't fly nuclear weapons except under extraordinary circumstances. All of those safeguards had broken down. So the plane came to a halt. Now this has been in the Washington Post, a big story on September 23rd, Sunday, big picture above the fold. Normally that would trigger a congressional investigation. There is no congressional investigation, and that is a huge scandal. So a lot of us have been agitating, and I think I've been joined now by David Lindorf, who's a well-known writer on impeachment, and a couple of people on the Chosudovsky website, always a good place to go, Global Research of Canada. They're interested in the topic, and others are getting interested in this topic, and I think we're gonna keep pushing, that's for sure. The 2 other aspects of it that I would stress. One is that 6 airmen, 6 Air Force personnel are dead from Minot to Barksdale over a period from July, but especially September. You get 6 people killed under circumstances which I think have not been sufficiently clarified. And this would include a captain who is apparently a B-52 pilot, a lieutenant who's a B-52 pilot, an airman called Airman Blue who's a part of the security detail, and a couple of other people killed generally in automobile accidents. So think of the grassy knoll phenomenon on the Kennedy assassination, right? That people who are somehow part of something important tend to have a very limited lifespan. So there's a huge scandal about this. And the most important aspect of concern, Wayne Madsen, a person I know in Washington, he has wonderful contacts in the National Security Agency, has said on September 24th that one of the cruise missiles is still missing. And that would mean that one cruise missile is still missing on the 24th, 10 days after the United States Air Force conducted a complete stand down. This was on September 14th. They suspended all operations worldwide for a review of security procedures, and I'm sure also to cover up what had happened. And there is a cover-up in action. 5 or 6 officers have been simply fired from the Air Force. We're not sure exactly who they are, at least I'm not at this point. 60 to 70 personnel have been punished. They've been reprimanded or somehow have taken away some negative result for their careers. But this is not enough. We've got to have a high-profile congressional investigation, because my own thesis would be the people who brought you the rogue nuclear B-52 with the option of striking Iran, or maybe that extra weapon that's missing is going to go off in the U.S. Maybe it will go off in Cincinnati or Portland or St. Louis. That is the Cheney Doctrine, and you cannot assume anything with a desperado of this type. You have to think about it. A cruise missile fired, say, at night into a city would be noticed by nobody. It's silent, it's stealthy, it's going to come in. And of course, they'd make sure that they had plenty of patsies running around. I can imagine patsies with luggage monogrammed Osama bin Laden or Al Qaeda, right? A special line of Louis Vuitton. It's just Al Qaeda luggage. And that we'd find that for sure, right? You'd find charred suitcases saying Osama bin Laden or Al Qaeda. Then the neocons would immediately come out and say, there it is, there's the proof. It was a suitcase bomb brought in by Al Qaeda, whereas in reality it might have been this cruise missile. So that's the kind of scenario that Cheney is undoubtedly contemplating at this point. If I were here in Britain, I would immediately demand the U.S. ambassador come to the Foreign Office and give explanations. What is this rogue B-52 story? What are the facts? Where is that extra missile? Why were these 6 people found dead, or why have they been not investigated? Isn't there a pattern in those traffic accidents killing 6 people? That's a very high mortality rate for 2 Air Force bases over a period of 2 or 3 months.